Hello students, in this session we will be talking about the next part in the digestive system, how the digestion takes place, that we are going to study in this part.
Hello students.
Hello students, in this part we will be talking about the process of digestion. Okay, already we have discussed how the digestion is taking place through the alimentary canal. Okay, so here we will be discussing about the various parts of the alimentary canal which are involved in the process of digestion. So the first part which is here is the mouth. Okay, in this session we will also discuss about the digestive glands and their secretion, like enzymes, the enzymes which are involved in the breakdown of the complex organic food material into simple substances. So here we have the first part, or we can give a heading here, alimentary canal. Alimentary canal or canal, okay, consists of first part, that is the mouth. So mouth, it is a opening present at anterior part. Okay, it is a opening present at anterior part of body. Okay, so anterior part in the sense that is next to near the head region. Okay, so it is the anterior part. Okay, the first part of the alimentary canal which is a opening, just a opening. Okay, and it opens into the second part, that is called buccal cavity. Okay, so the opening which is followed by the buccal cavity. Now buccal cavity, in previous session also, in last diagram we have discussed about it, that buccal cavity has certain structures, and which are those structures? It includes the teeth, okay, which are assembled onto the jaw socket. Okay, then we have another part, that is the tongue, and then finally we have the salivary glands. Or we will discuss the salivary gland in the accessory glands or the ducts which are involved in the digestion. Okay, so here another part we can take here, the palate. Okay, so what is teeth? See, we have seen the structure like this, the face structure. Okay, we will draw here a rough sketch again. So here at the floor there was attachment of the tongue, and next to the tongue there was the buccal means jaw socket where the teeth were placed, and the roof of this buccal cavity has a hard substance. Okay, basically also consisting of the epithelial tissue, to which there is a flap like structure at the end, at the posterior end. So this structure is called as the palate. Now what is the function of palate? Palate is the part which help to put a grip over the food material. In case of humans, we have our limbs so that we can take the food inside the buccal cavity, or else we have tongue also through which we can swallow it. But in case of other animals, as we can take an example of carnivores like tiger, lion, okay, or other animals, they don't have other organs to catch their food material, to ingest the food material here. So they have a kind of ridges onto it which help to put a grip over the food material. In case of humans also, they help in the putting the grip over the food material. Okay, because in our buccal cavity we see there is a higher saliva, mucus is there, so slippery kind of environment is there. So the food will be swallowed directly. Okay, so that is how here we can see the palate, and palate also consists of certain taste buds. So what, when we eat any kind of delicious food material, we call it as a palatine food. Palatine in the sense it is been related with the palate. Okay, now another, that is the teeth. Now generally when we talk about teeth, okay, in humans we have different category of teeth involved in different types of functions. Okay, if we generally took a look after or we'll look after the structure of teeth again. Okay, we have two different types, or 4 different types of teeth. Okay, so assume it is the buccal cavity or the oral cavity. Here that is the upper jaw and this is the lower jaw. Okay, so in the upper jaw I am going to draw the structure of the teeth which on either side, only at one side. Okay, so we can multiply it by 4. So here you can see we have the middlemost part, the teeth which are involved in biting. Okay, the teeth which are present in the front side, these are called biting teeth. These are nothing but the incisors. Incisors. Next to that, we have one conical teeth that is called canine. Okay, so these are present on this side, not on that side. Again, that side also they are present. Okay, we can draw it later. Then we have two premolars. So premolar, they are basically responsible for grinding the food material. Apart from that, we have 3 molars. Okay, so 3 teeth are there. These are called molars. So these are the 4 sets of teeth which are responsible for eating or grinding the food material. Okay, now see here, these are 2 in number. So we will write here 2 incisor, 1 canine, 2 premolar and 3 molar. So we have to multiply it. Okay, you can also put here some, like here also you can show the teeth. Okay, again 2, then 1 canine, then we have 2 molars and 3 premolars. Okay, so this is how we count the teeth, and we have 32 teeth, right? And how it is countable? See here, you have to just make an addition, 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3, right? How many are there? 2, 1, 2, 3 upon, okay, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now it is not just a single, okay, it have the both the sides into 2, make it, okay. Now calculate, 2 plus 1 3, 3 plus 2 5 plus 3 8, 8 by 8 into 2, okay, that will be exactly 32 sets of teeth, okay, into the humans. Now this is about the teeth, and what is the function? Incisors are responsible for biting, canines they are responsible for tearing, okay, and these are more modified in the case of carnivores, as they are having these teeth more modified to tear the flesh, okay. Then premolars are the teeth which are involved in grinding of food material, as well as the molar which are also involved in the grinding of food material. Now there is a slight change in case of babies or the childrens which are in the growing stage, okay. So we can see there is a change. What change? In case of these childrens, the premolars are absent. So no premolar is there, it will become 2, 1, 0, 2, because only 2 molar teeth are there, okay. So the formula will become 2, 1, 0, 2 upon 2, 1, 0, 2 into 2, okay. So how much? 2 plus 1, 3 plus 2, 5, okay. So around 20 set of teeth will be formed. So in this way we can see the teeth which are found in the children's, okay, because see in the children's there is no formation of the wisdom teeth. Wisdom teeth means in Marathi Hindi we call it as a akkal dad. So that akkal dad is not been developed during the childhood. So it will be developed after the age of 18, that is wisdom teeth, okay. So it will become 3, and premolars will also be developed. So it will be having a adult teeth set, and this is a children's teeth set, okay. I hope you are getting all this. Then we will move to the next, that is the structure of teeth, okay. So let us see the structure of teeth. How do teeth look like, okay. So teeth, they are placed under the jaw socket, Okay, they are placed under the jaw socket, and this is supposed to be a jaw socket, okay, where the teeth are embedded. And teeth, you can see the structure of tooth basically. See here. So such a structure of tooth can be seen, and these tooth are embedded within the jaw socket. So this part is the jaw socket. Okay, this is the jaw socket. So, or it is also referred as the alveolar bone. Alveolar bone. Okay. Now the teeth has three main parts. That is the part which is present in the uppermost or the outermost region, that is called as the crown. Okay, this one. Then the part which is embedded within the jaw socket is called as the neck. Okay, this part is called neck. So this is the neck, and third part is the root. Okay, so the part which is found within the alveolar bone, it is called as the root. Okay, now if we look after the structure of the tooth, it is composed of three main layers again. Which are those? It is consisting of the enamel, which is the outermost covering. Okay, it is consisting of the enamel, this part. Okay, the uppermost part of the teeth is referred as the outermost part of the teeth, called enamel. Okay, next to the enamel there is a presence of a kind of smooth layer. Not, it is just not like exactly smooth, it is also have a tough rigid structure. Okay, made up of certain salts. This is called dentine. And finally, inside the dentine we have a pulp cavity. Pulp means it is composed of the tissues, muscular tissues are there. Okay, not exactly muscular tissue, but composed of epithelial tissues again. So here pulp cavity. Within the pulp cavity we can see a formation of the nerve fibers. Nerve fibers and plus blood vessels. So we see when the tooth are decaying, at that time there will be release of certain blood, and that amount of blood is secreted by the blood vessels into the pulp cavity. So the first part, that is the enamel, second is dentine, and third one is the pulp cavity. So enamel, it is composed of cells called ameloblast. Okay, it is composed of ameloblast cells. Okay, and consisting of the salts like calcium, phosphate and fluoride. Okay, this is the chemical composition of this ameloblast type of cells and the enamel, that part. Next to the enamel there is a dentine, which is composed of the cells called odontoblast. Okay, and these cells, they also has a kind of rigid type of structure. Okay, so that when enamel is decomposed, at that time this cavity will be open up. Okay, and then next to that is the pulp cavity, which consists of muscles. Okay, and it consists of the nerve fibers as well as blood capillaries, so that there will be sufficient supply of the blood. So what, when we eat any kind of hot or cold food material, okay, or even while taking the ice creams, if our tooth is decayed, there will be sensitivity, right, and that sensitivity is due to the nerve fibers present into it. So this is a structure of a tooth. Okay, and this is the root part. To this root part again we can see the supply of nerve fibers and the blood vessels. Okay, I hope you have getting these points. Okay, next we will move to the tongue. So next part within the buccal cavity is about the tongue. Okay. So what is tongue basically? It is a structure, generally a U-shaped structure is there. Okay. So it consists of three main regions. Okay, three main regions. That is, it consists of a region which is at the posterior end, okay, or which is broader. Here we have the different kinds of cells. Okay, these are called papillae. These are generally responsible for carrying the taste buds. Okay, providing different type of taste within the food. So here this part at the broader region of the tongue, that is the behind, there is a presence of a circumvallate papillae. Circumvallate papillae. Now these papillae have the taste buds which gives us a bitter taste. Bitter taste. So when we eat the medicines, you know, we keep the medicine or the tablet within the posterior and the end of the tongue. We feel it is bitter, slightly bitter. Why? Because the taste buds which are present over there, they help us to identify or predict that bitterness of the medicine. Then in the lateral part, okay, in the lateral part we have the some other types of papillae. Okay, these are called fungiform papillae. Fungiform papillae. So fungiform in the sense they look like mushrooms. If you see the tongue from the lateral side, this region, that part is consisting of the fungiform papillae, and that fungiform papillae, okay, why it is named fungiform? Because the structure looks like mushroom, small buds of mushroom, so that it is called fungiform, and this part is responsible for providing us the salty taste, or the sour you can call it. Okay. Then apart from this we have another type of papillae, okay, there, which are those here in the central part. These are called filiform papillae. Filiform papillae. This filiform papillae doesn't have any kind of taste or the taste buds, okay, but at the tip of the tongue there will be production of a sweet taste, as there is a presence of taste buds, okay, taste buds provides the sweet taste. So when we eat any kind of sweet dish, how we recognize the sweet dish? Due to the presence of the taste buds on the tip of the tongue. Now what is the function of the tongue? The function of tongue is, it is helpful in cleaning of the teeth, and it is acting as a natural brush. So we can rub the what we say, tongue around the teeth. And you know, one more thing is there, it is also made up of skeletal muscles. Okay. So in muscular tissue we have discussed about it. There are three different types of muscles: skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and the smooth muscle. So skeletal muscles, they are forming this type of tissue, but it is not attached to bone. Okay, skeletal muscles are attached to the bones. So another function of the tongue is it help in articulation of speech. So whenever we prepare any kind of words, these words are prepared with the help of tongue. Okay, so it help us to speak up. The next, again, as it consists of taste buds, it is responsible for recognizing the different types of taste. Okay, so this is about the tongue. One more point I would like to add about the teeth. See, we have seen the structure of teeth and how to calculate the number of teeth. Okay, but if we talk about classification, there is a brief classification about the teeth. Okay, I will give you just a formula to identify the teeth. How to identify the human dentation. Okay, there is a formula for recognizing the human dentation, and that formula is based on, okay, the 4 classifications. Which are those? See here. Basically, we are classifying teeth on the basis of the number of set of teeth in the life of organism. Okay, number of set of teeth. Now if we talk about number of set of teeth, in case of living organism or in case of animals, there are three different sets. So the first set is called monophyodont. Monophyodont. Monophyodont means the type of dentation that is present in the animal, and in this animal only one time the teeth will be arised. Okay, so that is called monophyodont, and examples are whale and elephant. Okay, then we have another category that is called diphyodont. Now what do you mean by diphyodont? Means the teeth will arise twice in their lifetime. Okay, if we talk about the humans or the primates, okay, let's take an example, primates. So in primates we see that we have two different set of teeth. Okay, one is the temporary set and second one is the permanent set. So the temporary set is also called as the milk set, दूध के दांत, right? And the permanent set is the permanent set which is been throughout the lifetime of an individual. So here we can take the example of primates. In primates, apes, monkeys and humans are also involved. Okay, so that is diphyodont type of characteristic. Then third is polyphyodont. So polyphyodont means what? When the tooth of an individual animal, okay, will develop again and again after breaking down. Okay, like they will be arise within few minutes of time, a few hours of time. So in case of, we can see in the shark or even in the fishes, most of the fishes, they can regenerate their tooth within 24 hours after the breakdown. So such type of property or such type of phenomena can be referred as the polyphyodont. Example, fishes. Then amphibians. In amphibians also we can see such a phenomena. Okay, so this is called polyphyodont. Now we talk about the human dentation. Which character is resembling to human dentation is the diphyodont. Are you getting what I am saying? So the teeth on the basis of number of set, they are diphyodont. Now on the basis of shape, another category on the basis of shape, I will rub this one. Okay. So on the basis of second part, that is the on the basis of shape of teeth. Okay. So on the basis of shape we have one homodont, second heterodont. So homodont means what? When teeth are similar, all the teeth are similar, okay, similar in shape. That means such type of teeth are called homodont. And heterodont, when the teeth are having different types of shape, and as they are having different shape, they are involved in different functions. Okay. So here we can take the example of the fishes. In fishes we see the teeth are arranged like this, like the blades of the saw. Okay. So such a arrangement is there, that is called homodont. Example you can take fishes and amphibians. And heterodonts, where the teeth are of different type. In case of human dentition we have seen incisors, canines, premolar and molars. Okay. So here you can take an example of all what do we say, terrestrial animals. Okay. Terrestrial animals which are living on the land, basically these are including under heterodont. So it is another characteristic feature. See, first one was diphyodont, another one is the heterodont. So we have got here. Then next, on the basis of cusp. Okay. So on the basis of cusp, cusp means what? The ends of the teeth. We see the edge of the teeth which is either sharp or which is either blunt. Blunt means unable to break easily. Okay, so the sharp points they will cut any kind of substance easily. Okay, so on that basis we can classify the teeth into 4 different categories. First category is the bunodont. Okay, so this classification is on the basis of cusp. Okay, that is the edge of the teeth. Now, first category over here is the bunodont. Bunodont. Second category is here the selenodont. Third category is here the thecodont. And fourth one is the lophodont. So let us see what are these terms. Okay, so bunodont basically, okay, this type of teeth are, okay, these are having the blunt end basically, okay, blunt ended, which are seen in most of the what we say vertebrates. Okay, then selenodont. Okay, this selenodont we have the crescent shaped, okay, or the moon like structure is there, that is called crescent shape. Okay, these are seen in the grazing animals. Thecodont, example humans, and lophodont, they have the structure which is similar to the speed breakers. You know, speed breaker, they come one after another. Okay, in such a way the teeth are placed. So that is the arrangement. Okay, bunodont, selenodont, thecodont and lophodont. So it is the characteristic of human, that is thecodont. Okay, so this is another basis of classification, right? So these were the certain basis of classification on which we can classify the teeth. So here we have got the characters. First character was the diphyodont. Diphyodont means the teeth set will arise twice in the lifetime. Second one was the heterodont. Okay, and third one was the thecodont. So here we have 3 different characters. One more character is there. Okay, on the basis of arrangement of the teeth within the jaw socket. Okay, so fourth basis is there, that is apart from this we have fourth basis on the basis of arrangement into jaw socket. Okay, so into jaw socket we have seen the jaw socket, and where we have seen the tooth was placed. So according to arrangement there are 3 different types of arrangement. One is called as the acrodont. Okay, then we have the pleurodont. Okay, and finally we have one more thing, that is here we have the thecodont. There it was the in the earlier it was the another part, that is selenodont was there. Here we have the thecodont. Okay, so the acrodont means the teeth are superficially placed, as in case of fishes. Then pleurodont, the teeth are placed very loosely arranged, that is in case of snakes. And thecodont, they are compactly packed within the alveolar bone, that is in case of humans. Okay, so students, this is about the structure of teeth. Okay, entire study of teeth. Now the next part that we are going to move is the pharynx. Okay, third part within the alimentary canal is the pharynx. Okay, so what is pharynx over here? Is the third part. Pharynx, it is a kind of funnel shaped structure which is present next to the oral cavity, and it consists of the 3 main openings or 3 main nares. Okay, one is called the naxopharynx. So the naxopharynx is that part which opens into the pharynx region from the nasal chamber. Okay, so that is called naxopharynx. Second type is the oropharynx. Oropharynx is that part which opens through the oral cavity. And finally, we have the laryngopharynx. Laryngopharynx, it is that part which is attached to the larynx, that is the vocal cord of our body. Okay, so that region is called laryngopharynx. This laryngopharynx opens, okay, into the esophagus, that is a long hollow tube consisting of connective tissue and the lining of mucus within it. Okay, so the fourth part, that is the esophagus, then fifth part is the apart from esophagus we have stomach. Okay, so this is esophagus, this is the stomach. Esophagus is a long tube like structure. Okay, long tube like structure. Long tube like structure. You can see here. Okay, next, the stomach consists of different types of cells which are involved in secretion of certain juices within the stomach. So if you look after the structure of stomach, it is like this. This is the esophagus part, okay, and it opens into the stomach region. Okay, so here the stomach, this part of the stomach is called fundus, this part is called cardiac, and this part is called pyloric region. Okay, so fundus, cardiac and pyloric region. When the food is been taken inside the stomach, it will open into cardiac region, and within the this stomach, the lining of stomach, it is been covered by the mucus. Okay, it is covered by the mucus. So what is the function of mucus? Mucus actually provides a kind of protection against the action of acids. Okay, so acid has been secreted within the stomach, and how it is secreted? It is secreted from a type of cells. Okay, here we have three different types of cells. One, it is called as the neck cell. Okay, then we have the peptic cells, and finally we have the oxyntic cells. Okay, so the neck cells are responsible for secretion of the mucus. Peptic cells are responsible for secretion of the hydrochloric acid, which is having a pH of 2 to 3, which is highly acidic and can even decompose the metals when it is digested. Okay, but we are not digesting metals. And oxyntic cells are responsible for releasing the enzymes like trypsinogen, okay, or the pepsinogen. So here it will help in neutralizing the acidic food, okay, which is present in the pyloric region. So these cells are present in the pyloric region, help in neutralizing the food material. So what acidic food will not directly enter into our small intestine. So that is the stomach. I hope you have getting this. Next part to the stomach is the digestive gland. Okay, actually in a sequence there is a small intestine, but there is a major role of the digestive gland in this part. So we will discuss here itself. So the next part we will be discussing is the digestive glands. So what are the digestive glands? We have two types of digestive gland here. One is we have basically three different types are there. One is called salivary gland. Okay. Another one is the liver, which is a hepatopancreatic gland again, and it is a hepatic gland, sorry. And here is the pancreas. Okay. So three different types of glands are associated with the process of digestion. Now let's talk about the salivary gland. Where it is located? It is again located in the buccal cavity. We have three different types of salivary glands. Which are those? The one which is called parotid, and where it is present? It is present just below the ear pinna. So it is also referred as the largest salivary gland, which secretes its secretion within the molars. See, when we think about the delicious food material or the street food, like we have many street food like burgers are there, pizzas are there, or the pani puri, okay, Indian street food. So that street food relieves certain kind of stimulus within the buccal cavity and releases the saliva within the mouth. And that saliva, it is secreted from the parotid gland, okay, parotid salivary gland. Then another salivary gland we have is the present in the mandible, that is the lower jaw region, okay, lower jaw region. So that is called mandibular, okay, or it is also referred as the submandibular or submaxillary, okay. So it can be referred as the submaxillary or submandibular. And third kind of salivary gland is called as the sublingual salivary gland, okay. So sublingual in the sense which is present below the tongue. See our tongue. The tongue at the below region, it is attached with the floor with the help of a small attachment called as the frenulum, okay. And at the region of frenulum, there will be presence of the sublingual type of salivary gland, okay. So here we can see the sublingual salivary gland. And what is the function of salivary gland? Basically, they secrete an enzyme called alpha amylase, okay. They secrete the enzyme called alpha amylase, and alpha amylase is responsible for breakdown of the carbohydrates, okay, into simple sugar. So when we eat the carbohydrate containing substance, after few minutes we will recognize that it has a sweet taste. Why it is? It is due to the presence of the sugar within it. So basically, if we talk about the identification of this taste, we can go for chewing the raw rice, okay, non-cooked rice. If we chew for longer period of time, we will realize it is having little sweet taste. Why it is? Because the rice consisting of starch, and starch when it break down into simple sugar, it will shows us the sweet taste, okay. So alpha amylase help in the breakdown of the complex sugar into simple sugars, okay. Apart from that, we have the liver. Liver is responsible for secretion of the bile pigment, okay. So bile pigment helps in emulsification of fats, okay. So it emulsifies the fat and also plays a great role in pigmentation, okay. So it has two different pigments, that is called as the bilirubin and the biliverdin. Excess of bilirubin within the blood may cause the jaundice, okay. Now pancreas. Pancreas are mainly responsible for the digestion of food. And how it is? Let's see. Pancreas consists of two parts, okay. That means it can be acting as the gland which is responsible for secreting the hormones, and it can also act as an organ releasing the enzymes, okay. So here different types of enzymes are released. See here, the enzymes like invertase. Invertase is also a type of alpha amylase which help in breakdown of carbohydrates. Then we have the peptidase. Peptidase are involved in the breakdown of the proteins, okay. That is polypeptides into dipeptide, monopeptide, or the simply amino acids, okay. Then this can be also referred as carboxyl peptidase, okay. Then we have the lipases for the breakdown of the fats or lipids into small structures of the glycerides and triglycerides, okay. Then again we have the nucleases. So there will be production of purines and pyrimidines with the help of these nucleases, Okay, so these are the number of enzymes which are secreted within the stomach or within the intestine through the pancreas. Okay, and it is also acting as a gland. Okay, that is exocrine and endocrine type of gland. That is, exo means they are without duct and endo means with the duct. Okay, so they releases two types of hormones. Okay, two types of hormones, that is the insulin and glucagon. Function of insulin is to maintain the higher level of sugar within the blood. Okay, if sugar exceeds within the blood sugar level, then it will be regulated by the insulin, and if blood sugar level decreases, it falls, then it will be maintained with the help of glucagon. So these are the two different hormones which are released by the pancreas. Okay, so here pancreas releases different enzymes as well as the hormones that help us to digest the complex organic food material, and this liver and pancreas, they open through a common duct. Okay, they open through a common duct called hepatopancreatic duct. Hepatopancreatic duct. And where they open, in the previous diagram of that complete alimentary canal, you can see they are opening into small intestinal part, that is called duodenum part, which is C-shaped part, through a common duct, that is duct of Oddi or sphincter of Oddi. That is a kind of opening where it opens. Okay, and their secretions will be released. Now next part is the intestinal part. Okay, next to this is the intestine. So intestine, generally intestine, it is composed of two main parts, that is the small intestine and the large intestine. So small intestine consists of three parts, that is duodenum, then jejunum and ileum. Okay, so these are the three different parts which are present within the small intestine, and large intestine also consists of three main parts. Okay, that is the ascending colon. Actually it has four parts, that is, first is the colon. Okay, and two parts are there main. Then we have the appendix. Now colon has three main parts, that is ascending colon, then transverse colon, and finally descending colon. Okay, so here you can see three different parts are there of the large intestine, that is basically two parts, colon and appendix, and here colon has ascending, transverse and descending colon. So the ascending colon is that part from which the undigested food will be moved into the transverse colon. Within transverse colon there will be addition of certain mucus and the water, so that undigested food material will become a kind of buttery in the texture and it will be easy to move. Then again descending colon is the part from where the undigested food material moves into the last part of alimentary canal, that is the rectum. It is a kind of conical shaped structure where the undigested food is stored until the pressure exerted on it, and finally it will be released out by the anus. Okay, so that is how the process of digestion takes place in the human being. Okay, so and one more point I would like to add here, the length of the intestine is around 7 to 8 meters. Okay, thank you.